welcome to Kelly's Roadhouse, the Sweet Valley Recap podcast. My name's Paula and I'm here with Rich.
Hello.
Hope you all had a nice break.
Yeah, I hope you had a good new year and all that stuff.
We're back for our first episode of the year, and
after all of our Christmas specials, we're back.
Yeah. And we're back with book number 19, Showdown.
Yeah, which I quite enjoyed.
I thought it was a bit dull until the last 20 or 30 pages.
I didn't find it that dull. There was enough going on. Kept me interested.
It is ridiculous.
It's ridiculous, and everyone is awful. Particularly Jessica.
We have a peach cover. And it's got Jessica and Lila on it. Facing one another.
Yeah, it's weird because Jess is kind of like looking away from her but giving her side eye.
Lila's looking straight at us on the camera. And
that's because she's got a flat face. It's always face on.
She does look a bit flat actually on this cover.
Yeah.
So does Jessica though. But Lila's got a sly smile on her face.
Yes, which is weird because she's actually... I suppose it might be because she is smug in places during this book. So.
And Jessica is looking at her. She looks disgusted.
She looks absolutely disgusted by Lila. Yeah, I agree.
It's called Showdown, but Jessica and Lila don't really have a showdown in this
book.
book.
I'm assuming the showdown might happen in Crash Landing because, like, they didn't really resolve this, really. I mean, they might just drop it, but I kind of feel like there might be a little more to this rivalry after this book. But who
they're
knows?
just in a constant rivalry, aren't they? Jessica
they are, but it seemed this one was the most extreme example. I think this is the one that could like actually break their friendship. I felt like, but it didn't. So
Jessica and Lila are in love with the same boy,
yes,
more than she bargained for. When Lila Fowler's mysterious new boyfriend finally appears at her pool party, so that's the construction worker.
That is the construction worker. Now that was Lila was going to visit her father at work and saw him working in a construction site. But she thinks he's a spy.
A prince.
Oh, a prince? It was a spy, wasn't it, last time?
It might have been both.
Wasn't she thinking he was a spy or something? But yeah, so anyway.
He was undercover. So he was an undercover
that's
prince.
Right. Yeah, undercover prince.
For no reason.
No, other than she fancies him and she can't imagine that she'd fancy a lowly construction worker. So there must be something special about him.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, it says, Jessica Wakefield is dazzled. Jack is handsome, sexy and exciting. Even more perfect than Lila described him. So Jessica wastes no time making sure he notices her too. Unknown to Lila, Jack dates both girls, Jessica during the week and Lila on weekends. But the sight of Lila's happy face on Monday mornings is more than Jessica can stand. Oh, imagine seeing one of your friends happy.
I know.
Just can't stand it.
It's just awful.
Jessica's twin sister Elizabeth warns her to drop Jack before she really gets hurt. But Jessica would rather get Lila out of the picture, and then Jack will be hers. All hers.
Oh boy. So, well, this book opens with a bit of a surprise. Jessica is actually helping Elizabeth empty the dishwasher.
Yeah.
She's doing a chore.
They're cleaning up after Sunday brunch in the Spanish tiled kitchen.
Where else?
And they're gossiping about Lila's new mystery man.
Yeah, now Lila's putting on a pool party today, which they think is like, oh, you know, she's going overboard to impress them. But I thought like she has a party like every week. It's not really that special.
Yeah, but remember, she invented this one just to invite him.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, so she's put this party on specifically for Jack.
Yeah,
you're right.
But pretended to Jack that she was having it anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Liz is worried that Jessica's thinking of going after Jack herself.
Yeah, and then Jess like almost immediately replies. She's like, well, I don't see why not if he's cute, basically. It's like, okay.
It's like, because he's your best friend's date.
Yeah. Liz is shocked by this, and I don't really know why she's shocked by her sister's bitchiness.
And then we get the description. It includes that they're 4 minutes apart, perfect size sixes, blonde hair, and brilliant smiles.
Yeah.
Liz also reminds Jessica of poor Neil Fremount.
Yeah.
Poor Neil Fremount.
She just says, Neil won't mind.
Yeah, she says we're just friends. And I can't help it if I drive guys wild.
Brilliant.
And then Liz says, okay, you're charming and irresistible. And Jessica's like, yeah, carry on. So Elizabeth adds clever, a good dancer, the best cheerleader Sweet Valley High has ever had. And just goes off on this massive, like...
It's payback for all the times that people have blown smoke up Liz's ass during these books. Finally, Jess is getting a bit of compliment.
And then we cut to the pool party at Firecrest.
Yes. Liz
and Todd are relaxing by the pool, and they're literally having a conversation about how good looking they both are.
I know.
Like, what the hell? Imagine if we just sat here, like, just talked about how good looking we are.
Yeah, they're like literally.
I don't think we've ever done that.
No, they're kissing each other on the forehead and just saying how great and amazing they both are.
Yeah. And then they're interrupted by Enid and George.
Yeah, and Liz is all like, "Oh my god, we got caught in the act," and it's like, you just kissed him on the forehead. I mean, Jesus.
And they've come straight from George's flying lesson.
Yes.
Elizabeth tells George that Robin Wilson's taking the same course. I'm still in disbelief that high school kids are taking a flying course, let alone 2 of them.
I'm so glad you said that, because I was thinking the same. I was like, what is the minimum age to fly?
In America?
Are they even legal?
I googled it.
Go on.
I think it is 16, I think.
When can they drive?
16.
Okay, you can fly at the same time. I see. I would have thought I'd be like, you can get used to ground-based vehicles first.
I googled it a couple of weeks ago when I
feel like if I was in charge, I'd be like, you can get used to ground-based vehicles first, and then you can fly later. Yeah. Not like,
also,
hey.
They must have quite a lot of cash to afford that. I imagine they're expensive.
Have you got your driver's license yet? No, but I've got my flying license.
But I've honestly never met anybody in the UK who's done a flying license.
No.
So
we do hot air balloons in the UK. That's about as much as we do. We just go up in balloons.
So maybe it's normal in America? I don't know. Let us know.
Yeah, maybe it is. I guess they are quite wealthy in Sweet Valley, so maybe it's like a wealth thing. Because, even apart from, the Martins and Jack, who presumably lives on the same street as the Martins' house, apart from them, everyone is very wealthy. Even the poor Wakefields are clearly very well off.
Yeah.
So,
So George says that he knows Robin. She's one of the best students on the course.
Yes.
He's taking the test for his pilot's license in 2 weeks, and when he gets it, he's going to take them all for a flight.
What a treat.
Well, we'll see. I'm trying not to mention this yet, but this is a lot of foreshadowing going on in this book.
Yes.
Meanwhile, in the swimming pool, Winston's challenging handsome Nicholas Morrow to a doggy paddle race.
Yes, tall, lanky Winston.
And some other kids are playing badminton. And Olivia is strumming a guitar and singing for a crowd of people.
Yeah.
I knew she'd be that kind of person at a party.
The vegetable spread saving the whales kind of person.
Yeah, and the kind of person that brings their guitar out,
acoustic guitar,
singing
clearly.
Kumbaya or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And yeah, she's got a crowd of people around her.
Yeah.
Good for her, I guess.
Yeah, good for her. Why not?
I find it irritating, but
yeah. I must admit, whenever you've got a group of people and you see one of them's got an acoustic guitar, you are instantly like, oh god.
Yeah, at a party, no.
Please don't. But maybe we're just boring. I don't know. Anyway, Enid and Liz note that Lila's mystery man still hasn't shown up yet.
Yeah, and Lila's made a massive effort for him.
Oh yeah, the spread is huge. Yeah.
There's a buffet with fresh berries, grapes, cherries, melon, pineapple, cakes, pastries, imported cheeses, crackers, crisps, chips, cold cuts, raw veg, and dips.
Yeah, which I thought I think that's 50% for Jack and 50% that she needs to keep up appearances now she's got Regina Morrow as competition.
Yeah.
She's got her pool parties have to step up,
we'd better remember Olivia should be careful.
She's going to have to
not only take one plate at a time.
Well, it's funny you should say that because Dee Dee and Bill Chase are piling the plates high with no repercussions.
Yeah, Olivia, she can't mix her courses.
No.
And there's all kinds of courses on this buffet.
There are, and she doesn't want to be called 2 plates.
She's probably going to have a panic attack.
Oh my god, the amount of panic attack she had, yeah.
Suddenly, Lila's voice floats across the lawn. Jack's arrived.
Yes, and he's well built and handsome with, quote, powerful arms.
That's all that construction work.
Well, yes, exactly. It's all that carrying of bricks. I don't know. Whatever.
Lila tells Jack the party wouldn't have been a success without him.
It wouldn't have been a party without him.
Play it cool here,
She's put on this entire party for him.
I know.
She's not playing anything.
It's like
cool.
she's met him, twice for 10 minutes?
At his work.
And then she's like, yeah, if it wasn't for you, this party wouldn't have been a success.
Yeah.
So, so he's also deeply tanned.
Yeah.
His honey brown hair was shot with sunlight and streaks. He wore a pair of khaki walking shorts. What is it with these kids in their khaki?
They love khaki, don't they?
Do.
Especially Liz.
Yeah. A green Lacoste shirt and topsiders. Cara and Jess are drooling.
Yeah, Cara walks over and literally says, "Oh boy." Like she didn't realise he was going to be that gorgeous.
And Jessica goes straight in for the kill.
Yeah, Jess thinks that she was only half serious about stealing him, but now it's completely on. She just tells poor Neil, "Oh, I'm really hot. I'm going to go in the pool."
Poor Neil.
Poor Neil Freeman.
She's always fucking Neil around.
Yeah.
So she just basically starts parading herself in front of him in a bikini.
Yeah, she strips down to like the most revealing bikini. Apparently the book calls it minuscule, so I'm guessing it's basically to women's bikinis what Bruce's trunks are to men's, you know? Like, so I'm guessing it's ridiculous.
I can imagine her as well being really obvious about it, like just walking past him over and over again.
Just like, walking up and down.
Yeah, just walking up and down in front of him.
Yeah, definitely.
Like not even being like subtle. I think she'd look like an idiot.
I think the twins often look like fucking idiots, to be honest.
And
but
then
they are 16, I mean, you know.
And then she does a perfect dive into the pool and she waves to Jack and Lila to join her.
Yeah, Jack even comments that it's a great dive and Lila's just begrudgingly like,
Also, Jessica looks at Lila in her skimpy black bikini and thinks, Lila's figure isn't as good as mine.
Yeah, she's almost as good as mine. Almost.
So Jack heads inside to change, and when he emerges, he's wearing a navy blue racing suit.
Wow.
What does that look like?
I don't know.
It sounds a bit much for a pool party.
Can you tell us? Let us know. Send us photos.
One of those wetsuits with short sleeves.
Oh, maybe.
I don't know.
That's not a pool... That's not the sort of thing you wear to a pool party, though, is it?
No. And Jessica thinks the less he wears, the better he looks. So I guess it must be something quite skimpy.
Yeah. I don't know.
In the pool, Lila keeps deliberately getting between Jess and Jack. And then she asks Jack to do some laps with her.
Yeah.
And pointedly says, "See you later, Jessica."
Yeah, she gives her an icy glare. It's very much... Like, Lila knew immediately. Like, I'm surprised Lila even invited her to the party, because it's like, you clearly knew this was going to happen. Like, immediately, Lila knows. Well, I guess, actually, maybe she wasn't sure until Jess stripped down to the skimpiest bikini she could find and started parading around, and then it was pretty obvious. So, you know, at this point, maybe.
Jessica's still determined to get Jack alone, but he's glued to Lila's hip all day.
Oh, how dare he hang around with the person that invited him to the party.
He's charming to everyone, but he doesn't give much away. Jessica thinks he's a mystery man.
Yeah.
Later on, he's chatting to Liz, Todd, Nicholas and Aaron.
Yeah. And poor Ken. Poor Ken is in the middle of explaining his latest skiing trick. And Jessica sees this and she's like, "Bye, Ken." Like, oh.
Jack has confused Elizabeth for Jessica, so she goes over and she introduces everyone to him.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Oh, you're twins."
Yeah.
Yeah, no shit. Nicholas comments that Jack looks familiar, and Jack gets really flustered.
Yeah, he's like almost immediately off. This reminded me of Double Jeopardy, by the way. Because he keeps going on and on.
Did you work on a boat called Lone Blue?
Yeah, but he says, did you go to like sailing camp? And then he's like, "Are you from the East Coast? Are you here? Are you there?"
Eventually he gives up. And Lila drags Jack away to see the new gym that her father is having installed.
Yeah, yeah, and Jack's just super shifty, isn't he? And he's just like, "My family only just moved here. That's all the information you're getting." But yes, and he declines their invitation to play tennis to go and look at the gym.
And Jessica invites herself along. She's like, "Oh, I want to see this gym too."
I love this. The book makes it so clear that Lila is fucking fuming about this, but she's got no choice. She can't stop her.
When they get inside, the phone rings. Lila complains that she's going to have to answer it because it's the servant's day off.
Yeah, why do you keep having your parties on days when the servants aren't there?
I thought that. Surely they'd be like, there's a party, the servant cannot have a day off
Didn't
today.
this happen at Regina's party? It was like, or maybe the Patman party. One of them. It was like, oh yeah, the servants aren't here today. It's like, why do you keep having parties on the day when you need people to help you?
Who's serving all the food and stuff?
I don't know. Can't imagine Lila was cutting up the carrots before this one.
Maybe they've got their kitchen staff, but not their general
their
slave.
phone answering staff. Yeah.
So yeah, she goes off to answer the phone, and Jessica's finally alone with Jack.
Yeah, and she just like immediately starts asking questions.
Yeah, she starts flirting with him, but he says, I want to know all about you.
Yeah, he like again just trying to change the subject as soon as she's like, oh, how long have you been here? Like, you know, he's like, oh, I want to hear all about you.
And obviously she's fine with this.
Of course.
Getting to talk about herself. She tells him about her cheerleading and her family. And she asks him to call her sometimes so they can go for dinner or something.
And he pretty excitedly agrees to do so. But
and then it's your favourite bit.
This was my favourite bit, yeah. So Jess needs pen and paper, and there isn't anywhere to write her number down. So she finds a box of matches, and she lights one of the matches, and then uses the burnt out end to like scribble or engrave the her number onto the packet of matches. And I think the main reason it makes me laugh is because I remember not having mobile phones, and I remember being like, oh, how do I give you my number? Like, I've not got anything to write down with. Yeah. Quick thinking.
The usual thing was like using your lipstick or
yeah. I mean, I'm surprised she didn't think of that, but I guess she's just come from the pool, so maybe she doesn't have anything with her. And obviously it's a panic because Lila's going to come
classy.
back.
She's being unique.
Using a match.
Yeah. It does seem like something some femme fatale in a film would do, though, to me.
Oh, that's true. You know? Yeah, maybe she saw it in like a movie and was like,
yeah.
Oh yeah, this is what I'm going to do. But anyway, apparently the electricity is flowing between them.
Lila gets back and Jess steps away. And Jack says, I was just about to tell her what I'm doing in Sweet Jessica says, Jack was just about to tell her what he was doing in Sweet Valley.
Yeah.
And Lila says, Jack, you're going to have to spill the beans sometime.
But he ain't.
So he turns towards Jessica. He takes a deep breath. And he says, the truth is, I'm a construction worker.
And by the way, the book has a dramatic pause for that.
I know.
It does have like...
I've just said it how it happens.
Yeah. I'm a construction worker. Lila is like... She's really upset by this. She like the book kind of says, she's like secretly heartbroken. Because she thought he was like a
after the
prince
dramatic pause, you'd think he was going to say something like, I don't know, the truth
ex-felon.
Yeah, I'm an
alcoholic.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like something
really dramatic.
Yeah.
So for the rest of the party, Jessica stays clear of Jack, trying to decide whether or not she should be seen with a mere construction worker. But Lila's still convinced he's a secret prince.
Yes.
And the reasons for this, apparently, are because of his entire manner and his wardrobe.
Yeah, he dresses and behaves in a certain way that she thinks he can't just be an ordinary, quote, manual
worker. So those khaki shorts and a Lacoste t-shirt is apparently like what a prince would wear. Okay.
It kind of screams construction to me, if I'm honest. Like, that's the kind of thing you'd expect someone to wear if they were doing some garden work or something, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to build a wall in the garden, I'll just tuck on my khakis.
Yeah. So, by the end of the party, Jessica's come to the same conclusion as well.
This is so weird that they've both decided
what is wrong with these girls?
Yeah.
Where are you getting this idea from? They live in a complete fantasy land.
Yeah, and Jess even doesn't confront Lila. She asks Lila about it. She's like, do you really buy that he's just a construction worker? And Lila, even though she suspects it, she's trying to take Jess off the scent. She's like, oh, we'll just have to believe what he says. You know, that's what he says. It must be true.
Lila asked Jack what he did before he came to Sweet Valley, and he's really vague.
Yeah, he's quite short.
He says, more construction.
Yeah, it's like, I build things.
It's all I've ever done in my whole life since I was born.
Yeah, I was born and I started laying bricks.
She tells him he seems more important than that. And he says, well, don't you think building buildings, fixing water mains and paving roads is important?
He's got a very good point. Yeah, I agree.
But she's disappointed and she thinks her father would never approve of him.
No, her worry is that George Fowler will never let her date a manual worker. That's where we are with this family.
But then he reveals a secret. His father is a very important and powerful man, but he was trying to run his life, so Jack moved away to become his own person. And Lila says, I feel the same way about my father. It's like, no, you don't. You're always telling everyone who your father is.
Yeah, that's like literally Lila lives for that stuff.
She actually did it when she met Jack.
Yeah.
Remember? She was like, I'm Lila Fowler. My dad owns this building.
Yeah, she literally did that in the last book. You're right.
Within a minute of meeting him.
I love that when Jack tells her the secret, he's like, oh, I've got the biggest secret ever. And he's like, I almost left home once. And then immediately after, he explains how he did leave home. It's like, It was not almost then. You did. Like, you have left home. Here you are in Sweet Valley High.
And he tells her that his mum died a few years ago, so it's just his dad and his kid sister Valerie left now. Mm-hmm. And he misses Valerie a lot.
Yeah. Of course, Lila immediately wants to know who his father is. She's like, you know, because she's like fantasizing that he's like a politician or an actor or someone really famous.
Prince of Santadora.
The Prince of Santadora. So Jack says, you know, my father's not important. It's not what defines me. I've put that in the past. He
also tells her about the fun him and his sister Valerie had in Switzerland at their grandparents' chateau.
Yeah, so now Lila's
hiding
like...
from their governess.
Now Lila's like, okay.
He's obviously rich.
He's rich as fuck. That's cool. I'm in.
Suddenly, George Fowler gets home.
Yeah, he's come home early. I think she thought he was going to be late. His flight was delayed or something, but he must have got a different flight, so now he's turning up.
Lila panics, and she tells Jack she's not allowed boys over her, so he has to leave. But obviously, it's just because he's a construction worker.
He could just not tell her that.
Yeah.
Tell him that. It could just be like, just tell him you're the Prince of Santadora.
Yeah, as apparently he looks like a prince, so George isn't going to suspect.
Imagine if, like, he turned up, like, George actually caught him, and he was like, what are you doing here? He's like, oh, I'm just seeing your daughter. He's like, who are you? He's like, I'm a construction worker. Imagine if George was like, you're not dressed like a construction worker. I don't believe you. I think you must be a spy or a prince.
He'd just be like, get out.
Get out.
I'm a construction worker. Get out.
He could have just been pretending to be like fixing the fence or something.
An hour later, Lila's desperate to tell somebody Jack's secret.
Yeah, she's been promised to keep it quiet, and in Sweet Valley tradition, this secret will last 5 minutes.
She picks up her pale blue princess phone, and she decides to call the second biggest gossip at Sweet Valley High.
Yeah, and I'm sure the only reason that she calls Cara is because Caroline's turned over a new leaf and is no longer doing that.
Yeah, so she tells Cara everything.
Oh, dear.
Meanwhile, Elizabeth is at the Oracle office, surrounded by paperwork.
Yeah, she's bitching that she's got more work to do than normal because Penny has got mono.
Not MS.
Not MS.
Mono.
Mono.
If you don't know what we're talking about, this was from Special Christmas. We're not just being weird.
No, yeah.
In Special Christmas, the doctor misdiagnosed mono as MS.
Yes, and ruined someone's life for 2 years, drugging them up on medication that made them ill and almost killed them.
But yeah, Penny actually has mono.
Yeah, for real. Well, we assume she might have MS. Maybe they misdiagnosed her.
Oh, God, I know. So, Elizabeth is stepping in as editor for a while she's off.
Yeah, it's funny because like Mr. Collins is he's like, oh, you know, how are you doing? And she all the way through this book, she's like, oh, it's okay. I love doing this work. I love doing this work for Penny. I love stepping up and helping out. But the whole time she complains about how busy she is. She's like the worst kind of person, you know. She's like, oh God, I'm so busy. I'm so busy.
Yeah.
Oh, I love doing this. I'm such a good-hearted person, but I'm so busy.
Mr. Collins puts a comforting hand on her shoulder.
Yeah.
Stop touching the kids, Mr. Collins.
We're past that now.
Leave them. We get some mentions of Mr. Collins as well. We get mentions of his athletic build, his friendly blue eyes, and how he's more than just a teacher to the kids. He's also a friend.
It's definitely far too intimate to the kids.
He's definitely more than
sure.
just a teacher.
Yeah. He turns up to their parties.
Yeah, they go to his house.
Yep. They go to his house. He's come to their parties. He's like chaperoned them to like places, and it's weird.
So Elizabeth makes a start on sorting some of the paperwork, and she finds a black and white picture of Tad Johnson.
Yeah, and it immediately starts her laughing.
Tad is a 240-pound linebacker, and in the photo he's kissing a tiny teddy bear.
Aww.
And she thinks this is absolutely hilarious.
Yeah,
it sounds quite funny, but...
It sounds kind of funny.
She's like doubled over.
Yeah, it's like the funniest thing she's ever seen.
She's like, John, you've got to see this.
Yeah, she goes to John Pfeiffer and she asks if he took the shot. And he says, I wish I had, because it's a really good shot. But it's another mystery, Elizabeth thinks, just like Jack.
Yeah, she wants to print it, so she calls Penny to check if that's okay. And Penny says, go ahead, but she's got no idea where it came from either. No one knows. John hums the Twilight Zone theme and says it must be a photo from the fourth dimension.
Liz is convinced, however, that there's probably a more down-to-earth explanation. Yeah,
so she prints it and she types up an article to go with it.
Yes, and she says in the article... Are you going to read the article?
Yeah, it says, a kiss for good luck before the big game. The secret of Tad Johnson's success on the football field is out of the bag, but still unknown is the identity of the photographer who took this picture. Will the phantom photographer please stand up? Please stand up. Please stand up.
At lunch, Jessica and Cara notice that Lila seems a little miffed.
Jessica and Cara are complaining about the food, and they spot Lila looking sad with some homemade sandwiches.
Yeah.
And they say she's probably eating caviar sandwiches.
She probably is.
Well, we'll get to that in a second. They head on over to see if she's okay, and she says, well, if it isn't Benedict Arnold Wakefield and her sidekick, Cara the Mouth. That sounds like something from, I don't know, Bugsy Malone.
Yeah, it does sound a bit
Cara
like
the
Bugsy
Mouth.
Malone. Yeah. Also, by the way, Cara the Mouth, who you decided to tell secrets to. I mean, why did... Cara does have a history of this. This isn't, out of character for Cara.
They always mention Benedict Arnold as well in these books.
It comes up a lot. It does.
I mean, I still haven't... I keep forgetting to look who that actually is, because I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Don't know.
But yeah, they do mention Benedict Arnold a lot.
So she complains at Jessica for basically trying to steal her man. And Cara for spreading the news that she told her in confidence, because now everyone in school is talking about Jack.
Yeah, that he's got some secret.
He's got a secret, yeah.
She says she'd be better off being friends with a school of killer whales.
Killer whales are pretty friendly. They're really friendly, aren't they? I think.
I don't know. Why are they called killers?
I don't know. I think it's just an unfortunate name. I don't think a killer whale's killed anyone outside of captivity. Ever.
Really?
Yeah, not that we know of. So they're quite friendly. So she could make friends with them.
So they try to apologise to her, and Jessica says, you've got Jack. What's your problem?
Yeah.
And then Cara just starts eating Lila's sandwich, and guess what? It is caviar.
It is caviar. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So. I mean, Jess is a bit upset because obviously it gets confirmed Lila is going on a date with Jack on Friday. And we know this because he can only do Fridays because he's busy in the week.
Yeah, with work. And then Lila says that since the party, her father's gold cufflinks and tie clips have all gone missing.
Yes, and the pool got blocked up.
She thinks that the maid probably moved the cufflinks and the tie clips.
Which is weird because I thought they weren't working that day.
Oh, yeah.
But fine. Yeah, I thought that. As soon as I read it, I was like, I thought your staff weren't working that day. Maybe the maid isn't a servant. Maybe they actually have actual servants. There's the maid and here are our slaves. The slaves had the day off. The maid didn't. So
Jessica tells Lila a story about the time that Mrs. Patman's emerald choker vanished. It turned out that one of the maids had thought it was a dog collar.
Brilliant.
She's some kind of goth or something.
Yeah, I don't know. I think she's the Gnome King.
And it had been put in a drawer with some tennis stuff.
Yeah, they briefly talk about Bruce as well, that he's president of the Centennial celebrations. Thankfully, that's the only time the Centennial celebrations come up in this book. It's just here, so we don't get any more of that.
Yeah, so he didn't come to the party because he was doing important work for the committee.
Yeah.
I still think Ken was robbed there.
So do I.
But Lila thinks that the real reason he didn't come to the party was because their fathers had words at the last town meeting.
Oh boy. They are old rivals.
They are. We're also told as well that Bruce has gone back to his egotistical self since Regina left.
Yeah, I imagine it lasted about a day. As soon as she was gone, he was like, okay.
Lila goes back to talking about herself again, and she says there's no way she can tell her father about Jack now. So she's going to date him in secret because nothing can stand in the way of true love.
Oh, that hurts words. Jessica. Hearing true love.
But it's like, calm down.
I know, it's been like, you've met him 3 times.
Yeah.
Twice you were just in your car chatting. Mm-hmm. And he was outside doing construction work. And then you've met him. You've really only spoken to him once properly at the party, right?
Back at home later, Jessica's wondering what Lila has that she doesn't.
Yes.
And all she can come up with is money.
Yeah, there's 3 things. Money, money, and money.
Alice tells her someone's on the phone for her.
Yes, and of course Jess is super excited. Maybe this is the phone call she's been waiting for. So she rushes in, and it is Jack.
He asks her to go out on a date with him on Wednesday.
And Jess is thrilled because she knows she's seeing Jack before Lila will get to see Jack.
So she's got no problem in just going on a date with her friend's date.
No, I think you said it best. I think in the Christmas episode, they are just full on frenemies at this point. Yeah. They're not even really friends. Like, why are they even hanging out with each other?
We cut straight to Wednesday night.
Yeah.
Jessica's stolen a slinky royal blue dress from Elizabeth for her date. And Elizabeth complains that she's only worn that dress once.
Yeah.
And Jessica says, if I'd known you'd throw 137 fits, I wouldn't have taken it.
Yeah, you would. Because you know the outcome of this. The same outcome every time.
Yep, and it happens this time.
Uh-huh.
Liz ends up apologising to Jessica for snapping.
And of course, again, she's snappy because of all of this oracle work.
And she also tells Jessica she's got a bad feeling about Jack. And she asks what kind of a guy would date 2 girls at once.
Oh, well, it's funny you should ask that, Liz, who went on a date with Nicholas Morrow whilst still being with Todd.
And also, she's ignoring the fact that what kind of girl would steal her best friend's boyfriend?
yeah, swap that around as well. Yeah, absolutely.
She acts like Jessica's completely innocent in all of this.
Yeah. Jess just says that Liz is dull, dull, dull.
Yeah, and she calls her a Miss Stick in the Mud worrywart and tells her to butt out. But she's got this idea that Jack's only taking Lila out of obligation because she invited him to the party.
Yeah.
But
which is the same logic that Liz used with Nicholas, where she was like, I guess I owe him.
Oh, yeah.
He was nice to me, so I guess I should take him out on a date.
Oh, God, that episode. I remember how furious we were.
I know, I still haven't forgiven Liz from that.
The whole episode was just us,
just shouting and complaining. Yep.
So, Jack arrives looking like he stepped out of Gentleman's Quarterly.
He's got a single rose.
And he's wearing camel-coloured slacks, a light blue Egyptian cotton shirt. That's another Sweet Valley boy fave.
Yeah.
They like their Egyptian cotton.
They do, yes.
And yeah, he produces a single red rose for her. And he sweet talks her parents and they're really charmed.
He says that he got the rose from the new florist in the mall, which I'm assuming is probably called the Flower Shop.
And yeah, when they head off, they decide to take a walk on the beach. He takes her over to his rusty old Rambler and apologises for not being able to offer her a more stylish ride. But he says his days of fancy cars ended when he left home.
Yeah, Jess does think the car is crap, but she fancies Jack, so she's like, okay, it's brilliant. It's fine.
Even though she's told Liz loads of times that she won't be seen dead in Todd's second-hand Datsun.
Yep.
He explains how he earns every penny he's got himself and he loves paying his own way. And she's like, oh, yeah, me too.
Yeah.
She tells him she's always babysitting. And also she tells him she had an after-school job but she doesn't mention it was for her daddy.
No.
And that she spent most of her time there kissing a 15-year-old boy.
And that's the only reason she stayed there.
Yeah, to kiss a child.
Yeah.
The 15-year-old.
15-year-old.
I still think Dennis Creighton should have been...
Hey, he turned back up recently, didn't he?
I know, and she snubbed him.
I know. Disappointed by that.
I think they should have ended up together.
I do as well.
I don't know why, I just do.
No, because she genuinely liked him. Like, she genuinely did, and he genuinely liked her. It was like 1 year's difference between them. That's all. It was the insurmountable problem was 1 year younger.
So on the beach, he gets a bit snappy when she asks him where he grew up.
Yeah.
He says, I want to leave my old life behind. And his face goes all weird. Like he gets like sort of a frown on his face.
Yeah.
But then he snaps back out of it and gets back to normal.
He's like sinister for a moment.
Yeah, sort of like a split personality vibe going on. And then he asks her about herself again. So she spends the rest of the day talking all about her.
Including...
Yeah.
on, now, bear in mind, first date. Do you want to say this?
Go ahead, say it.
First date that she's on with
I know
this
exactly
man
what you're going to say.
She's trying to impress. She tells him all about the time that Scott tried raping her in the woods.
Yeah, why would you bring that up on the first date?
The first date, this guy must be like, oh, well, that's horrible.
Well, he tells her she's a great storyteller. Yeah, great.
What a terrific story. No, this is really traumatic.
Not like, sorry that happened to you.
This is an awful thing that's happened to me. Yeah, great.
But he says he's going to name the brightest star in the sky after her.
Yes, and Jessica points out, she's like, that's the North Star. It's kind of already got a name.
And he says, not anymore. It's called Jessica now.
Okay.
And I'll think of you every time I look at it. She thinks this must be true love.
Yeah, wow. Meanwhile, Liz is on her way to Penny's house with all of the oracle
This
work.
is the next day now.
Oh, sorry, yes.
And she's also got with her the two more phantom photos that were slipped under the oracle office door that morning. One of them is Mr. Cooper, crouched under a desk in a very undignified position, searching for something.
Yeah.
And the other one is the usually stern Mr. Russo on the school lawn petting a tiny kitten.
These photos are fantastic.
Whose cat is this? I need to know.
Yeah, whose
Why
cat
is there
is
a
that?
kitten in school?
No, I don't know. Maybe he just snuck onto the ground, you know?
Aww. Penny's little sister Tina answers the door. Liz introduces herself and Tina says, everyone's heard of the Wakefield twins.
Now, Jess blushes about this as if it's a compliment, but it's not necessarily a compliment.
Yeah, but we know that it is.
It probably is, you're right. But they could have heard, they are probably quite infamous.
Yeah. They do have an eventful life.
They do.
So, Elizabeth goes up to Penny's room, which apparently looks like an office.
Yeah, she immediately judges. Like every time Liz walks into someone else's house, just judging the state of it.
But Liz likes it because it's boring and it looks like an office.
Yeah, it just pleases her. She's like, oh, filing
apparently
cabinets.
It's like because Penny's such a serious journalist, you know.
Yeah, she looks up to Penny, clearly.
Yeah. Penny's still in bed, but she's no longer contagious, by the way.
No. And I love that the first thing she does when she sees Penny suffering is that she's like, being sick's awful, isn't it? Sitting and lying in bed, not being able to do anything. It's rubbish.
Meanwhile, I've been doing your job.
Yeah, meanwhile, I've been working doing your job.
Liz shows her an article that Robin's written about her flying course.
Yeah, and Penny says that she didn't know Robin could write. But Liz points out that, you know, she used to write all the time back when she was overweight and everyone hated her.
Yeah, Liz actually says she used to write all the time. This is an actual quote.
Okay.
When she was the butt of everyone's jokes rather than the girl all the boys wanted to date.
Yeah.
But I felt like Liz means like before she became a shallow cheerleader.
Yeah.
And now she's just some shallow bimbo. But, you know, because she's a cheerleader now.
I don't like to think of Robin like that because I really liked Robin in her story. But we'll get to that.
I mean, yeah, but Robin is still a good person.
Yeah.
But Liz has she likes looking down on cheerleaders.
Well, it's the same as like, you know, anyone in the Unicorn Club is in Twins. It's like, oh, they're awful, you know, because she did that with Ellen. She's like, oh wow, she's being really nice for a unicorn member.
Yeah.
You know, it's like Liz is just as judgy as Jess and everyone else. She likes to deny it and pretend like she's above it, but she's really judgmental.
Penny asks Elizabeth to find out who's taking the mystery photos because she'd like to offer them a role at the Oracle.
Yeah. And Penny says, you know, Liz, you're the best journalist in the whole entire universe. Maybe you can crack the case on who the mystery photographer is.
Well, actually, Jessica's a better detective because she caught a spy.
She genuinely, at 14 years old, she caught a spy. 12, sorry, yes.
We get to cheerleading practice. Well, after cheerleading practice, Cara's complaining to Jessica how difficult the new cheer is.
Yeah.
And Jessica's all like, you've got to work hard for what you want.
Yeah.
She even tells Cara, she says, look how hard Annie Whitman worked when she wanted to join the squad. It's like, yeah, she worked so hard, she attempted suicide.
Yeah, because of you.
Yeah.
And your horrible friends. Cara kind of questions this. She's like, I thought you hated her a few weeks ago. But of course, now that Jess knows that Jack is all about work... Jess knows that Jack's all about hard work. She's now all about hard work. So she respects Annie now because she works hard. Yeah, it's the brand new attitude.
They're at the Dairy Burger. They pull in at the Dairy Burger and Cara says, I've told Lila we're going to meet her.
Yeah, and Jess is immediately like, oh, for God's sake.
Don't blame her.
No.
Imagine if you went out with your friend, they were like, yeah, put Lila Filer along. Oh, shit.
Thanks.
Inside, Jessica goes up to order and she asks if they'd like clam specials. And Cara's like, even thinking about them is dangerous.
I was so glad that someone finally said, actually, the clam specials are bloody awful.
Who likes the clam specials? Who buys them?
Nobody.
With the clam specials, all I think about is Santa Clarita Diet. Every single time.
Before I watched it, I had no idea, but now it's all I can think about as well. Oh my God, imagine that in Sweet Valley.
Oh, if they turned into...
Lila turned into...
Undead.
Yeah.
From eating clams. Yeah.
Lila would definitely have no qualms about eating people, I don't think.
No. If you have no idea what we're talking about, check out Santa Clarita Diet on Netflix.
But be prepared to be heartbroken because it's cancelled.
Yes, that thing that Netflix do. After 3 seasons, they just cancelled it, left it on a cliffhanger.
And it's one of the funnest shows. I love that show.
And me.
So good. Anyway, clam specials. Yeah, so they want burgers. They're like, no, I'm not having any of those clams. Forget that. I'm going to eat burgers from the Dairy Burger. Yes.
And then when Jessica sits back down, Lila's going on and on about Jack.
Yeah, and Jess starts doing everything she can to not focus on what Lila's saying.
Yeah, she starts making up stories in her head about the other diners.
Which are apparently hilarious stories to her.
She decides the nerdy guy reading a book is a secret ladies' man.
Yeah.
And a man wearing dark glasses is a spy. And then she moves on to people she knows.
Yes.
She imagines Dee Dee Gordon suddenly developing a giant war on the end of her nose.
Yeah, and she imagines Bill Chase's face, a horror on Bill Chase's face when this war appears.
Because she's still bitter towards Dee Dee after the Bill Chase school play incident.
She's basically upset that Dee Dee and Bill genuinely fell in love so that she couldn't continue to use Bill Chase.
Oh God, I love that book.
It's a brilliant book. But she was just using him. That's all she was doing. Oh, that was the book when Bill Chase kept going red and running away.
Meanwhile, Lila's saying how romantic it is that Jack is disguised as a construction worker. Like he's not disguised.
No, they've decided. That's it.
Even if he is working undercover and he's really a prince, like she thinks, he's still not disguised as a construction worker. No. He is working as a construction worker.
Yeah. He genuinely is just a construction worker. Yeah. He's literally doing a 9-to-5 job.
Yes.
He's actually a construction worker.
And Jessica can't bear to listen.
I mean, let's be honest. Even if he was the richest man on the planet, he is currently working as a construction worker.
Yes.
That is his job currently.
I know.
He is currently employed.
He's not pretending. She's seen him do it.
Yeah,
she's seen him at work.
It's an actual job.
We cut to Monday and Lila tells everyone at school she's had the best weekend of her entire life. She spent every single day with Jack.
Yeah, this is like... Apparently Jess is listening to this with her fists clenched. She's so angry. Because, of course, she knew about the date on Friday, but now Lila's saying, well, I saw him Saturday and Sunday. Yeah.
First, she's angry at Lila, but then she realises what a scumbag Jack is and thinks she should have listened to Elizabeth.
She doesn't realise what a scumbag she is, though.
Yeah. For a change as well, like, you know, I'm agreeing with Liz. Jack is a scumbag. Like, what kind of guy would just take two friends and date them?
I completely agree. I just can't get past Liz's inability to see Jess in all of this.
I know.
You know?
Like, yeah,
it's
Jessica's
like I agree with
innocent.
her on Jack, but
in fact,
also...
Lila's the only innocent one because she has no idea about any of this.
No. She's just a bitch.
She's just
naturally.
dating a guy, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Jessica goes to find Liz. She finds her with Enid and she drags her away for a private chat.
Yeah, she's like disgusted when she sees Enid. She's like, oh, Enid. Like, she just wants to talk to her sister on her own.
Yeah, she says, my entire life has been sucked down the drain. She tells Liz as usual, like, she says, I don't know why you bother with Enid. Just thinking about that girl makes me want to go to sleep. And then we get a really long bit. Liz goes on about how amazing Enid is.
Yeah, of course.
Ages. She's so sensitive. She's so smart. She's so nice.
She blows smoke up my ass every time I talk to her. I love Enid.
That is like what Enid's purpose is as a friend, I think, for Liz.
Every time is to basically say that when she's done awful things, it's not her fault.
Yeah.
And basically like
tell her how amazing her and Todd are.
Yeah, you and Todd are the best couple ever.
You're an amazing
the best journalist. That's all she ever does. Which is why that is really why Liz wants to hang around. I
can't remember what book it was. It was really recently though when Liz said something like she felt bad and Enid said, is it because of Todd? Oh no.
I like that they've got to this point now where they instantly, where like Jess does it in this book as well, they always assume it's just that she's fell out with Todd because she always falls out with Todd, so whenever she's upset they're like, is it Todd?
No, Enid says something like, at least you're not as ugly as me, or at least you don't look like me.
And Liz agreed.
And she didn't say like...
Liz like left her hanging, didn't she?
She didn't say it's not
Sorry,
that.
she didn't agree, but she just left it.
Yeah.
She didn't say like, no, you're not ugly at all. She's like,
She said, oh, you could look like me or something.
Yeah. Poor Enid.
So Liz has heard about Jack and Lila, because everyone has in the whole school.
Yeah, it's all around school now.
And she says to Jess, it's good that you found out about Jack before you got too involved.
Yeah, and then Jessica flips out.
She says she's in love. It's too late. I'm in love.
And now, Liz, giving Jess some credit here, Liz says, like, you can't be in love. You've only met him, like, twice. And she's like, that's exactly what happened with you and Todd.
Yeah.
I was like, that's a fair point. Can't argue that. She's got you there.
Liz tells her to forget Jack, but she says she's going to get with him, with or without Liz's help.
Yeah.
And she storms off.
Later, Liz is working when Jess comes in asking what she thinks of her outfit.
Yeah. So it's Tuesday night and Jessica's all ready for a date with Jack.
Yeah.
She tells Liz they're off to the cinema. Liz says, what about Lila? And Jess is like, don't ruin my good mood.
Don't ruin my good mood by bringing up
reminding
morals.
Me, yeah. By reminding me what a bad person I am. But she says, I'll ask Jack about Lila later just to get you off my back.
Yeah. I mean, secretly, Jess must want to know herself,
yeah.
Let's be honest.
And Liz says she just doesn't want to see Jess get hurt.
Yeah, which is fair.
And then they do that weird thing again where they tickle each other.
Yeah, they have like they have an argument, get angry, and then have a tickle fight.
Yeah, they're always doing this. It's so creepy and weird.
It's like the kind of thing you'd expect maybe in kids.
Yeah, not when you're 16.
Maybe on the outside at twins, but not now. 16-year-olds do not do that.
They're always doing it.
All the time.
So yeah, they start tickling each other and everything's fine.
But then the doorbell rings and panic ensues.
Liz says it must be Todd. And Jessica's like, oh my God, I don't want Todd to see Jack.
She's like, I can't believe you invited your boyfriend over.
But it's too late. Liz answers the door and it's Todd and Jack together.
Todd says, like, oh, I thought we'd never get in, you know.
I just kept thinking of Degrassi junior high when Wheels shows up at the same time as the Mother's Day.
Oh my god, I love that.
With the identical flowers.
Junior high is so good.
We keep going off on tangents for other shows.
I could talk. I could do a whole show on Degrassi.
Oh, we could do a Degrassi podcast easily if we had the
Degrassi.
time. Watch Degrassi Junior High on YouTube.
And High. Junior High is, in my opinion, better.
Yeah.
But High is also good.
They remind us so much of Sweet Valley.
Junior High is like Sweet Valley High. It's amazing.
But yeah, Jack and Todd have arrived at the same time.
Yes.
And it's awkward. Elizabeth notices that Jack's eyes are red and puffy, and she asks if he's okay. He says, I've just come from the pool at the community centre and the chlorine irritates my eyes.
Yeah.
When they're gone, Todd asks Liz what the deal is, and he starts bad-mouthing Jessica for going behind Lila's back.
Yeah.
And as usual, Elizabeth jumps to Jess's defence.
Immediately.
Blames the whole situation on Jack.
Yeah, she's like, oh, it's not Jess's fault. It's like, well, it is. I mean, she doesn't have to go out with him. And also, she asked him, not the other way around.
Yeah.
It's definitely Jess's fault as well.
At the cinema, Jessica wants to show Jack that she's an independent woman. So she offers to buy the refreshments.
Yeah, she insists on paying. And she thinks back to what Liz said before about how, maybe you should spend some money on your dates as well, instead of letting them pay for everything. So, she's learned. She wants to impress Jack, but there is a problem.
Yeah, her purse is gone from inside of her bag.
Oh my god.
She starts to panic, but Jack says you'll probably find it at home.
Yeah, and he says, don't worry, I'll pay for the refreshments. It's quite funny as well because he walks away to get the refreshments and Jessica starts doing what all of us would do. She's like down on her hands and knees, checking under all the seats and looking around, and he comes back and just finds her on the floor. She's just all embarrassed. But
she relaxes when the film starts.
Yeah.
They've gone to see Help, the film about the Beatles.
Yeah.
After the show, Jack tells her that he saw the police live at the Hartford Coliseum, near where he prepped. She knows this is a good area, so she thinks he must be someone worth knowing.
Yeah, he starts going on telling her this story, and she's not really listening to the story. She's just listening to the locations. She's trying to work out where he's from. She's trying to piece together his past.
And then we get one of our Jessica daydreams, my favourite bits.
Oh yeah, they are. The daydreams of Jessica are the best.
Every book she has some extreme daydream.
Yeah. Pretty much, yeah.
So in this one, she's on Jack's arm. She's being given a tour of his mansion. He introduces her to the servants as Lady Jessica and to his family as Jessica, my most cherished companion. She would give them a regal nod and tuck into a feast prepared in her honour that would put Lila's buffets to shame.
It's all about competition with Lila.
Yeah, every daydream
even
as
her
well.
Fantasies.
Yeah, every daydream as well. There's
It's not like, oh, I get the boy that I'm lusting after. It's always, I get the boy and I also show up Lila's
Fowler. Pissed off.
Yeah.
That reminds her about Lila, so she asks him.
I know. She was actually quite forward here. I was surprised.
He plays innocent though, and he says we're just friends. And she's like, well, why did you spend the entire weekend with her?
Yeah.
And then he flips again.
Yeah.
He says he was just saying thanks to her for inviting him to the party. And Sunday wasn't even planned. Apparently they just bumped into each other at the mall.
Yeah.
But he says, I'll see Lila on Friday and I'll tell her I'm not interested in her.
And that's all Jess needs. She's completely convinced now.
It's like, you can't ring her up then or just not see her again. You have to go on another date with her.
have to go on a date
tell her
to
that you
tell
don't
her.
want. Yeah. We cut to Thursday night. Elizabeth is alone in the empty Oracle office.
Yes. She's working late, doing all this work for Penny.
Yeah, apparently it's 9 p.m.
Yeah, I'm surprised they're even allowed in school. Because the Oracle office is in school, right?
Yeah.
Are they really going to let kids in at 9 p.m?
No, they didn't do in my school.
No.
But she's finally finished the issue and she decides she's going to treat herself to an ice cream from Casey's on the way home.
Yeah.
As she's locking up, she bumps into Tina, Penny's younger sister.
Yes, and she puts two and two together.
Yeah, she notices her slip several black and white photos behind her back.
Yeah.
She's the phantom photographer.
Yeah, she shouts, "It's you!
It's you!" Tina begs Liz not to tell Penny because Penny would laugh at her.
Yeah, Penny's like, the older, cooler sister. She's, more, she's accomplished way more. And, she's the one in the family that always wins the awards, and she doesn't think she'll get taken seriously by Penny.
To be honest, this whole storyline's shit.
It goes nowhere.
It's just to introduce something else in which we're going to get to.
We're going to get to very soon. And I couldn't believe, we'll get to it, but I couldn't believe how they dropped this one.
But Liz convinces Tina that Penny would take her seriously and they could work as a team. She even offers to explain to Penny.
Yeah, I mean, Liz knows already that Penny's kind of backed into a corner because Penny already said to Liz that she would give her the job, whoever it is. So
Tina throws her arms around Elizabeth.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh my God, you're so amazing. I love you. So she shows Elizabeth her latest pictures. We've got one of Alan Walters playing a video game at the Dairy Burger.
Wow.
Dee Dee surfing on a monster wave.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. And some planes at the airfield.
Just planes, huh? That's nice.
Elizabeth gasps at this one.
Oh, what could it be? I wonder what two people are at the flight school.
In the background, she sees Robin and George.
Yeah.
But they're locked in a passionate embrace. So basically, that's what this whole bullshit plot was for.
Basically.
Just to introduce this photo.
And they drop it all. Like, this doesn't even play out. It's like an offhand comment later on. They're like, Liz had just left Penny's place and they'd made up and it was fine. And like she was now on the Oracle. It's like, we didn't even get to read about it. It's just like it happened. So yeah, the whole point of this
I don't even want to read about it, to be honest.
No,
it's boring.
You're right. There's no point to it. This whole phantom photographer thing was pointless. They might as well have just had some, like Liz could have literally gone there to take photos and we would have had exactly the same situation. She could have gone to report on it and it would have been the same. We didn't need any of this. So we're going to pretty much ignore it from now on because the book pretty much ignores it. But so my goodness, photo of George and Robin.
Mm. So if you remember, Robin is with Alan Walters.
Yeah, poor Alan, who was lovely, by the way.
I know.
I mean, Enid's lovely, but...
And obviously George is with Enid.
Yeah.
So Liz is at home panicking later on. She's wondering if she should tell Enid.
Yeah, she's watching,
and I'm going to say, yes, you should tell Enid.
She's watching Maltese Falcon on TV, and she's thinking that she needs to be like the detective in that show and like figure it all out.
There's nothing to figure out.
No, there's photographic
your friend's boyfriend's
evidence.
cheating on her. Tell your friend it's the right thing to do.
Well, this is the problem, isn't it? She's decided that the only thing she can do is to go there herself and find out.
Yeah.
And it's like, Liz, just tell your friend. Show her the photo. That's all you need to do.
And then she can make up her mind what she thinks and what she wants to do.
And instead of that, she's going to go and create this stupid situation now, again. Liz does this. Liz creates problems for Liz all the time. I'm really angry with her. I don't know why I'm so fuming about it.
You are. You're.
I've got my arms crossed and everything.
You are. You look like a fuming old like fishwife, crossed arms.
Yeah.
Like. Ah. But Jessica gets back from a date with Jack and she's gushing about him.
Of course.
Guess where they went? They went to a clam bar.
How many clam bars can there possibly be?
And she tells Liz excitedly that he's going to level with Lila tomorrow and then he'll be all hers.
Yeah, and Liz is like, okay, I'm genuinely happy for you. Like, he seems like he started out like a dick, but he is actually going to tell the truth.
Why are they all just taking his word for this?
Yeah, I know. It's like he was willing to cheat on you to begin with. I'm not sure you should believe him, but fine.
Plus, none of them know him. He's just come out of nowhere.
Yeah.
We cut to Jack and Lila on Friday night in the Fowler's sculpture garden.
Oh boy, do we.
And Jack is definitely telling Lila something.
Yeah.
He's telling her he's fallen in love with her.
And that he wants to be hers forever.
They're drinking fine wine from Lila's father's wine cellar. And he says, this wine is almost as exquisite as you. And then he says he wants to spend the rest of his life with her. She's the only girl for him. And then...
Settle down. This is the second date.
Yeah, and then he says he wants to marry her.
I know. And of course, Lila starts fantasizing.
We get a Lila daydream.
Fantasy.
She imagines their engagement party full of reporters. And she'd be the envy of every girl in Sweet Valley.
Especially Jessica.
But he says, can you keep this engagement a secret for now? so my family don't track me down.
What's?
So they're engaged.
I guess.
Yeah. And
they're engaged, but it's like you might as well not be engaged if no one knows you're engaged. Just like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and there's no ring or
nothing.
anything.
No, it's like there's
you
nothing.
Like,
then, is there?
You know, do it properly. It was just like,
yeah,
I want to marry you. Okay. Also, he says the press would jump on the story in a second if they found out about the engagement.
And that kind of made sense to me because it's like, okay, like George is quite a big figure, so I guess maybe it might make the papers, and then maybe his father would find out.
He was hinting that it would be because of his family.
That his family would find out, wouldn't it?
No, that his family are so important that the press would
track them down.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Because Lila wonders who he is for the press to find him so important.
Yeah, of course.
But doesn't she wonder if he's so important why she hasn't heard of him?
Yeah, I thought that. Like, surely, you would have probably heard of him if he was that big of a deal. But
and then I can't fucking believe this.
This is my when I told you my favourite bit was before this bit because I laughed out loud in this bit. If this is the bit you're going to say.
I don't think it is. I don't think we've spoken about this bit.
I know we haven't spoken about it.
He names the North Star after Lila.
It's brilliant.
And he gives her literally the exact same words.
He picks the same star.
And the same star that he used on Jessica.
Yeah. So it was called, it started off as the North Star a week ago, then it became the Jessica Star, now it's the Lila Star.
Yeah, and he literally says the same words.
It's exactly the same. It's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant.
It's not brilliant.
I mean, he's a complete asshole, but it was hilarious to read.
They decide to celebrate their engagement privately at his house the following night.
Yeah, but, because they were originally going to do it at Lila's house, but they can't because George is going to be home. He's having a dinner party. So Jack suggests they do it at his house. And of course, Lila is excited, excitedly agreed, because that means that tomorrow night she's going to find out and, she'll be the fiancée of a prince.
Meanwhile, Elizabeth is still worrying about Robin and George. As usual, Todd asks her what's up, and she lies and says she's fine. just tell Todd.
If
just tell Todd.
Well,
how many times have we said tell Todd?
If she'd picked up the phone and told Enid and showed her the photos, she wouldn't have had to have even lied to Todd. She could have just been like,
she doesn't have to lie to Todd anyway, though.
Yeah, no, like your boyfriend
He's not
Todd
tell Enid.
is gonna. Todd's never spread rumors about anyone or said anything about anyone.
So, in bed that night, she's tossing and turning. She decides to go to the airfield herself tomorrow and talk to George and Robin.
So ridiculous.
Because it's the day of the awards ceremony tomorrow as well.
Yeah.
And she thinks maybe there's an innocent explanation. Sure.
They said it was quite a passionate embrace.
Yeah.
I mean, it was like kind of clearly not just friendly, right?
So we get to the next day. When she gets there, she spots George and Robin sat together. And then after the ceremony, she watches them embrace. Whatever.
I'm assuming embrace means they snogged this time.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Snogged.
Snogged.
It's a bit of a 90s word.
It's a very 90s word. I'm bringing it back.
And yeah, it's obvious they're more than friends.
Yeah.
They spot her and jump apart. So she goes over and confronts them.
Yeah, they're like, how long have you been there? And she's like, well, obviously long enough.
Yeah, and they have to come clean. They said they tried to fight it, but they just couldn't.
Yeah, I mean, they could have told Enid and whatnot. They could have actually just told.
Well, it turns out,
partners.
actually, that Robin's already spoken to Alan.
Yeah, it's just George.
George, being a lying scumbag.
Yeah.
Liz says George has to tell Enid, but he says he's taking her on his first flight later.
Yeah, he wants to treat her to a nice flight before he ruins her life.
He says she'll be so upset if we don't go, but I'll tell her straight after.
I mean, to be honest, mate, I think the night's ruined either way.
Yeah.
I he splits over there and she starts crying. He's like, yeah, but you did get to go on that flight tonight. It's not all bad.
As soon as they touch down, it's like...
I'm breaking up with you.
It's like, this is your captain. We're touching down in Sweet Valley and I'm cheating on you. But yeah, so that's what he says he's going to do.
Yeah, okay.
Cut to the Fowler mansion. Lila's woken up and she's sick.
Yeah, she feels awful.
She tries to force herself out of bed because she doesn't want to miss her date with Jack.
Now, I'm assuming, I don't know about you, I'm assuming she's hungover. because they were drinking wine the night
fine
before.
wine. Could be, actually, yeah.
I only say that because they make out that she's got red eyes and bags under her eyes like Jack, and I was like, it's drugs, like maybe she's like been drinking.
Yeah.
But anyway, she feels ill and
she sees her own reflection and shrieks.
Yeah, it's like that bad. She looks like Dracula or something.
She wails to the maid that she looks like a cross between Dracula and the Wicked Witch of the West. The maid forces her to go back to bed and calls the doctor. Yeah, and
the maid is very sensible here. She's like, look, if this man is anything like you say he is, he will wait if you're ill. You can reschedule, it'll be fine.
So what Jack does do when he finds out Lila's unavailable, he calls up Jessica.
Yeah, well, basically this has worked perfectly now, hasn't it? Because now it looks like he has told Lila, and that's why they're not seeing each other now.
Yeah. He tells her he's broken things off with Lila and he wants to celebrate with her later at Guido's.
Yeah.
So cut to Guido's. Jessica's feeling a ripple of ecstasy wash up and down her spine every time she looks at Jack.
Now, something happens very soon, but prior to that, this is a very public place in the middle of Sweet Valley to go if you're trying to cheat on someone.
Yeah, I thought that.
Like Guido's is
the
like
hangout where like all the kids from school
might as well have been in the dairy. Like,
and they all know Jack because they met him at the pool party.
Yeah, and they all know Jessica.
Yeah.
It's a weird that it was like, why wouldn't you go? Because like normally it's like when they're cheating, they go on the outskirts of town, don't they? Like, oh, we'll go to this place to hide from someone. But this is like, no, Guido's, don't care.
And yeah, Jack's telling Jessica about a cottage his family owned in the Caribbean.
Yes, and he, of course, starts talking about Valerie and how much he misses her.
Yeah. They him and Valerie used to go scuba diving off of their boat.
Yeah.
The water was as blue as Jessica's eyes. And they discovered...
Blue as the Pacific Ocean, is that where they were? They were in the Pacific.
And they discovered an incredible coral reef. He felt like Christopher Columbus discovering America on that day. Then suddenly he stops. He stares at Nicholas Morrow, walking in with a lanky red-haired boy.
Yeah.
His face twisted into a strange grimace, a combination of fear and hatred. His eyes were glazed and his knuckles white as he clenched the edge of the table. Like, I'd be seriously freaked out at this point.
Just like takes this in her stride.
I feel like, what the fuck's wrong with you? What are you doing?
Yeah, but she's just like calmly like, is it Nicholas? Is there a problem with Nicholas? And Jack's like looking at him with rage in his eyes, white knuckled, and he's like, no, it's not Nicholas.
And yeah, then he says, I'll get the check.
And by the way, at this point, Nicholas looks over and waves. He's like, hi. He's just like, I don't know what's going on.
Yeah. So she follows him out and she's really confused. And on the way out, Nicholas stops her and introduces her to his friend, David Matson, who's visiting from the East Coast.
Yeah,
she's
they
barely
went to
listening.
prep school together.
Yeah. Jessica's barely listening and she just rushes out to Jack in the car park.
She's basically just staring at Jack the whole time they're talking at her.
Jack apologises and he says he's met Nicholas's friend before and he was worried he'd recognise him and word would get back to his father about his whereabouts. Yeah. She's relieved at this explanation and kisses him.
She takes it as a valid explanation.
But I'd be worried about why he's so desperate not to be found.
Well, and also, there's a look of fear, not a look of anger. He looked furious. So it's like, it doesn't really work, you know? Like, he's angry. It was like a mixture of fear and anger. That's not really the right emotions.
And then Jack asks her back to his house to see his coral reef photos.
What a wonderful thing to do.
That's the most original pickup line I've ever heard.
I'd love to. I'd love to come and see your coral reef photos.
I bet she does.
Dodgy, like, underwater photos from a, 80s underwater camera. Great.
Jessica knows that people might say it's not proper to go back to the house of a guy she'd only known for 2 weeks.
But Jack is the perfect gentleman.
Like, fuck, not proper. It's dangerous.
It's very dangerous.
You're 16.
Yeah.
You're going back to this man's house.
Yep.
But she thinks he's far too good looking to turn down.
Okay, that's fine then. This is exactly how you ended up in this situation with
Scott.
That
attitude could get into a hell of a lot of trouble.
That's literally what happened with Scott.
Like, yeah. Like, oh, I want to have sex with you. Oh, he's just too good looking to turn down, so I had to do it.
I can't say no.
That is not a good attitude.
It's fine. Don't worry about it.
But the real reason is she thinks she can do some snooping when she gets there.
Yeah.
So back to
go on. Sorry, I was just going to say, Jess does say that she did tell Liz that they were going to go to Seca Lake with them and Todd. They might see them later, but she's like, "Oh, I guess we could go to your house first."
Yeah. Meanwhile, back at Guido's, Nicholas is telling his friend that he's worried about Jessica.
Yeah, he tells David that he recognizes him from somewhere, and that when he saw him in the mall recently, he was basically drugged off of his tits.
Yeah, he was stumbling around and he seemed drunk.
Yeah.
And then suddenly David realizes.
Yeah, the amount of detail that David has all of a sudden is amazing.
He's gone from not recognizing
I don't even
him at
recognize
all.
The guy to oh, this is him, this is his parents, this is where he lived.
Yeah. So the story is that Jack actually went to school with Nicholas and David. So that's how Nicholas knows him.
Yeah, Nicholas started just as Jack was leaving, which is why Nicholas doesn't really recognize him. Doesn't really explain why David doesn't until now, but fine.
And then Jack got kicked out of school
for
robbing a girl he'd been dating at knife point.
Yeah, that's pretty serious.
And she didn't press charges, though.
No, but he got expelled.
And then they realise they have to find Jessica. They get into Nicholas's Jeep, and then David tells Nicholas even more of the story.
The whole history of him. So apparently he was kind of known as a modern-day Jekyll and Hyde. He's a complete gentleman who would suddenly turn into a complete monster.
Yeah, so Jack's entire family died in a boating accident.
Always boating accidents.
And then he turned into this Jekyll and Hyde character.
Yeah.
He used to escape to a world where his younger sister was still alive.
Yes, and he also fantasized that he was super rich.
His uncle sent him to boarding school, and that's where this rich kid's lie started.
Yeah.
He used to tell all the other kids about how rich and important he was. And he gradually just lost his grip on reality.
And turned to drugs.
And that was when he got into drugs.
Yeah. He
was stealing to support his habit, and also to pay for the expensive clothes and stuff to live his lie about being rich.
Yeah, and apparently David says the only reason he got away with it for so long is because he's such a good actor. He's so good at lying and manipulating people.
The girl from school said that he turned into Mr. Hyde when she asked him too many personal questions on a date.
Yeah, which of course now they're like, oh god.
Yeah,
because we know what Jessica's like.
Meanwhile, Elizabeth's at Penny's.
She's just leaving Penny's house where everything got resolved out of the book and we don't actually see it.
Yeah. So, the Phantom Photographer crap.
It's done. Penny accepted Tina. She's in the Oracle now. Done.
And Nicholas arrives to get her. And Nicholas tells her that Jessica's in grave danger.
Yeah, apparently they went to the Wakefield house first and Ned told them where Liz might be, which is how they got there.
We cut to Jack's small, shabby room. He proudly tells Jessica he did it all without his father's money.
Yeah, I'm assuming he lives on the same street as the Martins.
Yeah, he must do. It's gloomy and bare, and it's not what Jessica expected.
No, she's clearly unimpressed.
But he tells her he was tired of posh because he's been surrounded by it his whole life.
I love it when he's like, oh, you get bored of posh and being rich, and Jessica's like, do you? I don't get that.
Yeah, you get so bored you want to live in this shabby, run-down room with no furniture. Okay. He gets his photo album out to show the coral reef photos.
Yes. And there's a photo of young Valerie.
She asks if that's Valerie, and he snaps, and he gets that weird look on his face again.
He says yes.
Uh-oh.
But, of course, she then asks him if there's a more recent photo of Valerie, which causes him to snatch the photo away angrily. And
then she's like, maybe I better go.
Yeah. And he's like, no, but what about my coral reef photos?
And then his face goes back to normal again. He shows her all the coral reef photos, and she's glad she stayed.
I can't believe after the way he just behaved, she's like, okay, I'll sit down with you and look for your photos. I'd be like, no, I'm going to
go. She's still curious about him, though, and she asks to use the bathroom. And when she gets in the bathroom, she goes through all the cabinets. How many cabinets does he have?
And it can't, how long was she in the bathroom?
Yeah. She's hoping to find a prescription with his full name on it.
I like to think that he was in the next room and all he could hear was just banging of like cupboard doors and
most people though, they have one bathroom cabinet.
A tiny one, yeah, like I've got in there. It's just like
let alone if you've got like no money.
Yeah. He's put all the money into the bathroom.
Yeah.
He's really proud of that.
There's more furniture in the bathroom than like the rest of the flat put together. But she does find an unmarked rectangular box full of drugs.
Right. Full of every drug.
Yeah, this is what's in the box. Pills of all different colours and sizes, a jar of white powder, a bag full of marijuana, pipes, rolling papers, and other accessories she couldn't even begin to identify. So basically this guy is every drug you can he's think on of. All of the drugs. Yeah, it's not fussy. So instead of just getting the hell out of there... It's kind of funny, actually, because that's exactly what she said they'd find from Betsy Martin. Yeah, and all she didn't. The drugs. And she just found some aspirin in Betsy's bag, didn't she? Yeah, and here we are. She actually has found someone with all of the drugs. And yeah, instead of getting the hell out of there, she just storms into the living room, like waving the box in the air. She's already seen how he snaps and how angry he gets, and she just doesn't give a shit. And she's just screaming at him like, I found this, what's this? And then she sees that he's gone for her bag. Yeah, he's got his hand in her bag. And she says, you stole my purse and you stole Lila's father's cufflinks. And she calls him a phony. It's like, look, just shut up. You've seen this man is dangerous. Just leave. Yeah. I think she's seen enough to be like, this guy gets real angry and he's got issues. Like, yeah. But then he pins her to the ground and he starts strangling her. So this is brilliant. Now, bear in mind, as we read through the next sequence of events, that presumably this entire time he's still strangling Jessica, okay? So while this is happening, Liz is calling Lila from a payphone to get Jack's address. And Lila is furious. Yeah, she gets hysterical first and she says, is Jack okay? Yeah, of course, because she thinks that Jessica's done something to Jack or that there's been some accident. But Liz admits that Jessica's with Jack, and then she shrieks. She says she's going to kill Jessica. She shrieks so loud that Liz has to hold the phone away from her because she's so shrill. Yeah. And Liz yells at Lila. She says, Jack's dangerous. And she gives her a quick explanation. Yeah, and then Lila's like, okay with it. She's like, oh, well... Tell Jessica she did me a favour. It's like Jessica might be dead. She's not even really worried about Jess. No, I know. She just hangs up. She gives the address and hangs up. So Liz, David, and Nicholas drive to Jack's house. There are 8 different apartments in there. So they knock on the first door. Every door they knock on, there's an asshole living there. Yeah. They're all horrible, all of them. This grumpy man in a boxers and a vest shouts at them to go away because he's watching TV. So Elizabeth throws herself at his door. Yeah. And says, I'm not going anywhere until you help us. So she describes Jack to him and he snarls that Jack lives in 4B. Yeah. Meanwhile, yeah. Jessica's still getting strangled. This whole time. Like 30 minutes have gone by, she's still being strangled. So what's happened while Jessica's being strangled? Liz has rang Lila, explained everything to Lila, had the chat with her. They've driven to Jack's address. Discovered that there's loads of buildings there. Knocked on loads of doors. Liz has thrown herself at a man with a vest. Yeah. And Jessica's just being strangled. Still being strangled. Time. Yeah. So, yeah, he's still got her pinned to the floor. He tells her the party's over. He can't let her go because he's got a good thing going in Sweet Valley. And she'll mess it up. Yeah, he says he liked her. And she's like, then let me go. And he's like, no, I said liked. I don't like you anymore. You found my drugs. You're going to die. And then Elizabeth is banging on the door and screaming Jessica's name. Yeah, and Jess says, like, you know, I'm in here, help. Like, come in. Yeah, she begs them to bash the door down. Yeah. And Jack says, you'll be sorry you said that. Yeah, and he takes her to the kitchen and grabs a knife. Yeah, he raises it above her neck. But Nicholas suddenly bursts in. He wrestles Jack to the ground. Yeah. Now,
Jack actually slices at Nicholas and David.
I
causes
know.
them to bleed. This is like...
Yeah, David jumps on. He tries to pry the knife from him, and in all the commotion, Nicholas gets stabbed in the shoulder.
Yeah.
Don't think anything happens to David.
No, I think David's okay. I think, or it might just get his shirt cut or something, but yeah.
But then Jessica saves the day.
With a, quote, cheerleader kick.
Yeah. She takes Jack out with a cheerleading kick.
It sounds like something, I don't know, like Sailor Moon would do. A cheerleader kick.
So, Liz should never say again that cheerleading is useless.
No, it just saved two people from getting murdered.
Yeah,
maybe
exactly.
3 or 4. Yeah.
And then Nicholas and David pin Jack's arms behind his back and grab the knife.
Yeah.
It's over. It's over.
It's over.
So cut
it's a
to
Sonic Adventure. If you've never played it, you wouldn't understand that one.
We cut to the police station. Nicholas is fine. God damn it.
Yeah, he was actually a bit of a hero here, actually.
Yeah, he's been all right in this book.
It's not redeemed all of his creepy behaviour.
He hasn't done anything wrong in this book.
And I gather he is going to be a creep again very soon.
He doesn't need to do anything wrong. I just hate him anyway.
He's just awful. I agree.
And Ned and Alice are there. And Ned and Alice don't seem bothered
I know.
about the whole thing.
Isn't, like, Jess is like, I hope they throw away the key. And Ned's like, well, no, that's not very fair. Like, it's like, hang on a minute, it's your daughter.
Your daughter's like been held at knife point here.
And like, I understand the rational of like, he's trying to be rational, and he's like, well, he had a really horrible life, and he's obviously snapped mentally. But it's like, it's your daughter.
Yeah, as someone so close to the situation, and personally involved, you'd think he'd be more angry.
It's the kind of thing you'd expect a policeman to say there, not the father.
Jessica feels stupid. It turns out even the coral reef photos belong to the girl that he held at knife point.
Oh, boy.
Even that was a lie.
No, all of those coral reef photos.
But everyone tells Jessica...
Hang on a minute, he robbed her of her coral reef photos
that's
at knife point. Okay.
Yeah. I don't know.
She didn't have any money on her, so he just took her photo collection and ran off.
Oh, my God. But everyone tells Jessica what a hero she is.
Yeah, that cheerleader kick did save the day, to be fair.
She brightens up and she says, you all need to take me out for dinner.
You've just had pizza.
Yeah, well, hungry work.
Yeah.
Cheerleading. Kicking.
Cheerleader kick does take it out of you.
Yeah.
But of course, there's going to be no time for food because there's a big commotion in the police station.
Yeah, they hear an urgent message blasting through a police radio. The message says, "Small aircraft in trouble. Vicinity of Seca Lake. I repeat, small plane in trouble. Craft number BA329, rented to one George Warren." Elizabeth let out a horrified gasp. George and Enid.
I mean, more Enid than George at this point. Not particularly bothered about George, but poor Enid.
Yeah.
And that's where we leave it, on a proper cliffhanger for the next
that is a proper
book.
Cliffhanger.
That's probably the biggest one since Liz had her accident.
It says, can George and Enid avert disaster? Find out in number
20. They've already crashed.
Yeah, they've already had a bit of a disaster.
It's already happened.
Find out in Sweet Valley High, number 20, crash landing.
I can't wait.
Oh, no.
We've got a good start to this year with these books.
So that was Showdown. What do
you
think?
I had a lot of fun with it, to be honest. I did, and it was very entertaining. Jessica's awful in this book. She was a real bitch to Lila. I know they're frenemies, but this took it a step further. Again, it's like, wow, this is getting,
yeah.
Like, why do you two even hang around with each other at this point? But I know that Lila's going to let her off now, but only because Jack turned out to be a psycho. Like, Jessica's still tried cheating. She's still happy to cheat on you. Like, him turning out to be a psychopath does not invalidate everything that Jessica's done during this book to you. She's been awful.
Yeah. Our last episode was Special Christmas, of course. It
was, yes.
And we got a few comments on it.
Oh, good. We love your comments.
Cressida Burton was howling when you commented on how crunchy Jeff's elf costume would be.
Yeah.
And she said maybe the extravagant wallet that Liz was going to buy for Todd was from the American version of Claire's accessories, but it was stuffed with $100 bills.
Oh, maybe. Maybe it's from Foxy Mama's, although I think Foxy Mama's is probably more of a woman's shop than not the kind of place you're going to get a wallet, is it?
She was an absolute fits at the suggestive word that Jessica mutters.
Yeah.
Before she was driving, Suzanne, it says Jessica swore under her breath.
Yeah.
And we were speculating on what
could it be?
What she might have said. Because, I said to Cresta I was worried I took it too far with my swearing. But she said it made her Christmas.
I'm glad.
I won't repeat what I said again.
No. You can go back and listen to it.
Yeah. And she also couldn't help but wonder about Enid being obsessed with Liz and Todd going together like bread and butter while she's dating a dude called Chip. Someone get the woman a Chip Butty.
Yeah.
And no, she doesn't like Suzanne either. She thinks she should bugger off back to New York.
I agree.
Emma's second-hand life was just questioning the medical qualifications of the doctors, as we all are.
Mm-hmm.
And Trigtastic also hates Suzanne as well. So it wasn't just us.
No, well, that's good. It's good to know.
But
I just think she went too far. She's irredeemable at this point. It's like, I can feel bad for her if bad things are happening to her. I wouldn't wish MS/mono on anyone. But, she's still a horrible person.
Yeah.
Happiness
Media was listening to this at the gym and raging on the machine how unbelievably stupid Ned and Alice are.
Yeah.
But she was lolling at Jessica's elf outfit.
Oh, that is the best part of the book, I think, that outfit.
And Joni Char said cucumbers work for puffiness too, but they have to be refrigerated first.
Oh, okay.
So remember we had the tea bag.
Yeah, cucumbers is a thing because you always see that in movies and stuff. Like they've got the cucumber, the face mask, and the cucumber. I've never seen tea bags though. That was a new one for me.
It's not as attractive for a film.
Tea bags, no.
You look as good on camera with tea bags on your eyes.
I wouldn't have thought so.
And also she said short sheeting is folding the sheet in a certain way so that somebody can't stretch their legs out. As a practical joke, so they have to get up and fix it.
I mean, that's a minor inconvenience, though. That's not the kind of...
But the first time she heard that, she thought it was like taking a pair of scissors and slicing up the sheet.
That's what I thought. I was like, maybe they cut it.
And then Cressida Burton commented again. She said, it's also known as an apple pie bed.
An apple pie bed? That sounds really cute.
That sounds nice.
Yeah.
And Sarah Trevor...
Sounds like something you can order off of, like, Wish.
Yeah.
Just get, like, an apple pie
bed in the shape of an apple pie.
Yeah.
Sarah Trevor was wondering why the names for Secret Santas... why there was an equal amount of boys and girls and like every boy got matched up with a girl, and why was it done in a sexist way?
Do you know what? I don't think we even picked up on that, but you're absolutely right now that you said it. Yep.
Yeah, because they only mentioned one basket with the names in,
and it was boy, girl, boy, girl the
girl.
Whole way through. Yeah.
And she also said there's a Sweet Valley Kids book where Lila's dad actually does the Winter Wonderland thing in front of the house.
Oh, see, I love it when they connect like that. That's really good. I'm glad.
And yeah, she also explained what short sheeting the bed was. Mm-hmm. Seems like everybody knew.
Everyone but us. Yep.
Apart from us. So yeah, follow us on Instagram and Facebook and give us more comments.
Yes, at Kelly's Roadhouse.
And we'll be back in 2 weeks with, I forgot what it's called. Crash Landing.
And of course, next week, we're back with Casey's. First Casey's of the year.
One of the gang.
Can't wait.
Disabled Olympics time.
Oh boy. That's going to take some careful editing.
Yeah.
Or at least we're going to have to think. Because I don't know. Maybe we might be picking it up way too much. Maybe this book handles it a lot better than I'm expecting it to be handled. We'll find out next week.
Yeah. So tune in next week and find out. And thank you for listening.
Yes, thank you. It's been an amazing year, and we are quickly approaching our anniversary.
Yeah, Nerdy Kelly's Roadhouse first birthday. Yeah. We have some plans.
We do. But in any case, thank you for listening, everybody.
Thanks. Bye.